Your country's different now than it was yesterday because the gerrymander has been okayed by the Supreme Court. The decision was handed down by the Roberts Court, and they essentially said, we conclude, according to Chief Justice John Roberts, that the partisan gerrymandering claims present political questions beyond the reach of the federal courts. Federal judges have no license to reallocate political power between two major political parties with no plausible grant of authority in the Constitution and no legal standards to limit and direct their decisions. So basically, there's always these like caveats when it comes down to, I know there was a Supreme Court ruling. I know what they found, but why did they find it? Basically, John Roberts has had this angle of saying, I don't want to be politically involved in voting districting, all that kind of stuff, because he thinks that would be a political move. However, by stepping outside of all of this and saying it's okay, well, I definitely can't say anything about gerrymandering. He's essentially condoning gerrymandering. So that's it. So what do you think about this?
I think the idea that we have to find constitutional technicalities to rule it illegal to draw districts based on how you want the outcome to be. Is wild for me. Right,
so essentially he's saying, I don't wanna have anything to do with this, but like, I just wanna give you guys an example of the kinds of processes.
And to find that illegal, did I say that?
The processes at work in order to draw these maps in the first place. Like just how politically motivated was, for example, North Carolina was one of these groups, was one of the states that was in question. Here is Assemblyman David Lewis of North Carolina, who he said this during the process of drawing the districts. He said, I think electing Republicans is better than electing Democrats. So I drew this map to help foster what I think is better for the country. I propose that we draw the maps to give a partisan advantage to 10 Republicans and 3 Democrats, because I do not believe it's possible to draw a map with 11 Republicans and 2 Democrats.
And right there, I think electing Republicans is better than electing Democrats. Fine, you shouldn't draw maps.
Right, and so here's what's happening. This is the essence of this issue. Chief Justice Roberts said, I don't want to be involved because I don't think the judicial branch should be involved in drawing these things. It's a political discussion. He believes that there's like no explicit racial bias, which is what which there is no explicit. Okay, sure. There's no one. He didn't say, I do not think that Republicans are better than Democrats and whites are better than blacks. But like, come on, man, that is very much in North Carolina's racial and political history.
Right, and that's how it happens. If you look at these maps and how they've been changed, that's what they do. They don't even have to. They're not looking at who's voting what, and they're not going back in history. They're just looking at where do all the black people live. How can we split them up so that their votes don't count as much?
Yes, exactly. And so if Chief Justice Roberts says, I'm not gonna do it, then it falls on the legislatures, which we've shown explicitly have said that I have political bias, and which Brooke says and essentially effectively communicates is, come on, man, racial bias.
Yeah.
But here's how it plays out. Now that it's up to the legislatures, how are the legislatures ever gonna change it if the effects of gerrymander are already in place? So here I'm gonna give you a bunch of ways that while the people, the human beings who live in these states, the voters, have said, this is how I want to be represented. And I'm going to prove that because of the gerrymander, in all of these instances, their will has been utterly thwarted, and now the Chief Justice has made it explicitly the case that this will always continue. So in 2016, Republican congressional candidates won 53% of the statewide vote, okay? But as predicted, they again won 77% of the seats. So 53% of the people said, I want to be represented by Republicans, but 77% of the people are represented by Republicans. And so we're gonna skip ahead to this graphic. This is not only in North Carolina. So we have this chart from the Washington Post, which shows in Pennsylvania, 54% of the people voted Democrat, but they only are represented by 45% of the seats. In Michigan, 53% of people voted Democrat, but Democrats still are in the minority in representation, 47%. North Carolina, 51% voted Democrat, 45%. That's that's the difference between the state but this is for congressional seats in the 2018 congressional election. That is what's absolutely abhorrent. There is no mechanism in place anymore for the court system, which I think is implicit in the separation of powers. Court system needs to step in and be like, all right, that's messed up. And the lower courts in each of these situations, the federal district court in North Carolina said, no, this is messed up because of what you said.
Right, because states should not have a system to skew state legislatures. That just should be against the rules.
Yeah. I'm not going to read these graphics, but in Florida, the people after a public referendum, 2/3 of people said we should allow felons to be able to vote, and Ron DeSantis essentially just came back and said they're overturning that. In Maine, ranked choice voting, all the same. When people voice what they want for their states, time and time again, the legislatures who have been gerrymandered within an inch of their life have overturned the will of the people, and now there's no mechanism to stop that.
Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.